IPMNation.com.
Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Brought to you by IPMNation.com. Get ready for the gong heard round the world.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is not a drill.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full context psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Good evening. Let me get this all set here, right? Like you'd figure. 386, you'd think I'd have this nailed by now, right? What are you going to do? A little slow today, I guess you could say. Good evening, welcome, and thank you for joining us. I got to go over here, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not certain about this hat, but and for the people that are going to complain to Facebook that I'm culturally appropriating fat, jolly guys from the North Pole, when you file your complaint, make sure it's Brian with an I. I'm just saying. Welcome, and thank you for stopping by and hanging. What am I doing? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Long-time caller or first-time listener or whatever it is. Oh, thanks for stopping by the 386th episode. I know that's hard to believe, right? You figure I could work out these chords. Of the number one rated show here on IPMNation.com, of course. We're talking about All Natural Being and the gong heard round the world broadcast as it happens, thanks to our good friends. Oh, that's what it is. Thanks to our good friends at Telestream's Wirecast live from the Transitional Radio Uplink here in a suburb of beautiful Columbus, Ohio. And it's broadcast directly to IPMNation.com and multicast live here on Facebook if you're watching. Thank you so very much. And over on allnaturalbeing.com and our Brian Brawdy app as well. But Wayne tells me it's soon going to be the Transitional Radio app, so I'm very excited about that. Please remember that we broadcast our little soiree on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube. You know, all the usual suspects. Twitter for now. Who knows how that's going to turn out? I haven't decided. We haven't decided. But greetings wherever you are, here in the garden of the mortals, the labyrinth of life itself. The ups and downs, the lefts, the rights, the pivots, the swerves, blind alleys and cul-de-sacs, galore. Never a dead end until you ultimately decide to tap out. Now, it's true that life constantly comes at us. Fate is relentless, but so is divine intervention. Every chop block of fate comes with a counterpunch from the Supreme. I believe that wholeheartedly. So I guess you could say that life's labyrinth is the back and forth between the assault, the never-ending assault of fate, and the succor of the divine. A chess match between your dynamic that's encoded in your DNA and the dark that pursues each and every one of us. Either way, this is our shot at running the table, at leveling out only where and when you see fit. No permission needed from anybody. Only the vapid long for the committee vote, and that's not you. You know it isn't. Your ferociousness, it's in your blood. You can feel it. Now you just have to get your mind to remember and ultimately embrace it. That's why we're here, to be your amnesia buster, if you will, to be your friendly blue force. Cognitive left of bang. Always putting your heart's highest priority top of the list where it belongs. Reinstalling and reinstating the true wit, wisdom, and I say all the time, I dare say the wallop of your inner whisper, rebooting your robust commencing your counterpunch. It just brings a smile to my face every time I think of you rising to out-brutal the brutal. That is the cut and shuffle that fate can deal you on a daily basis. And to bring your own bold, it makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. Because there's a storm coming, and you and I have a decision to make. We can be jacked up by it or buttoned up and ready for it. And just the mouth-watering, stunning beauty of it is that you make the call. But before we hit it this evening, and we got a big evening, I want to do a quick hello to my friends here in the United States and Canada, Mexico, the UK, my dear friends in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Brazil, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, and France, Nigeria, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Thailand, Belgium, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Egypt, and Puerto Rico, Kenya, the Netherlands, Iran, Colombia, Greece, Ireland, Argentina. Hello, Argentina. Peru, Austria, Poland. To those joining us from all over the globe, and the list is just going to get bigger as we get ready for the 81 to win. I'll talk to you about that in a little bit. It's great to have you with us. I truly am fired up to be driving your bandwagon, to be your virtual hitchhiker. If you're on the go, then you know I love riding shotgun with you because I have an opportunity to hang with you at that point, and I really do dig that. So what are we waiting for? Here's your opportunity to mortal up. It's time to like. It's time to love. Like, what's like all about? It's time to love the way you think. It's time to be your all-natural being. It's time for you to bring your grit to the relentless grip of life itself. So what do you say? Let's go kick in some doors, and there is so much to get to this evening. But first, what I wanted to do, and as I wanted to thank Wayne, and I'll show you this quickly. This is our new, coming up here, this is our new logo for our official attempt, Guinness World Record 81 to win, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Of course, you know we need 81 hours in order to be able to beat the world's record, and we're just finalizing now on a date. And the reason I say that we're just finalizing on the date is that because there's a lot of, there's still a lot of question as to, how everything is going to play out. I wanted to do it Valentine's Day coming up, February 14th. It looks like we may have to push it 1 month to St. Patrick's Day. But I promise you, St. Patrick's Day, this record is going to be in the bag, and our name is going to be on it. And then that way the doctors and everyone around me, could go, well, yeah, right, it's not 45 days since his surgery, so he's taken a little bit of time to ramp up. So, but I wanted to mention the logo. You'll be seeing it again, and also thank Wayne, because he was instrumental in putting it all together for me. So, Wayne, thank you very much for that. 81 to win, as you know, it's going to be a call-in show, the longest, as far as the record goes, the longest live radio call-in show, and boy, are there rules, so we're getting through the rules and everything else and trying to put that all together. All right, the second thing I wanted, as I promised I would, here is, if you didn't get a chance to see the picture on Facebook the other day, here is, and I think I can pull it out of the bag, right? I don't know, probably just let some alien force loose on the planet. But the whole 2 years, this is the nemesis that I've talked about. This little, spaghetti thing right here. But what is amazing to me is this brain shunt that was inside of me, right? And this little thing here, it ran down into my stomach. You get the drift. But this little thing was on the top of my head. And this thing is like a vacuum cleaner hose. It's got little perforations in it and everything else. So when they say it was sucking spinal fluid out of me, like it was going out of style, no, fake. So it's really something. And the only reason that I want to share that with you now is, well, there's one other little ailment I need to talk to you about. I had a skin cancer, right? A skin cancer lesion that I was dealing with the whole time throughout this. And they went ahead and froze it off, chopped it off. You know how that works. And the wound itself wouldn't heal. Now, I know you're going to think this is weird, but my body, my immune system was busy fighting this damn little thing, this shunt in me, the whole time for over almost 2 years. And because my immune system was busy fighting this shunt and fighting what it knew was a foreign, invader, if you will. It was fighting a foreign invader. Yes, it's true. In responding to a comment, yes. It's called a hat, or as I like to think, just a way of hiding all the staples from brain surgery, right? So just imagine there's an entire railroad track of, and they look like regular staples, for God's sakes, like you could buy them at Home Depot. I'm really surprised. I have to check his staple gun when I see him here in a couple weeks. So yes, that's what the hat is for. But what I wanted to say was that because my body's immune system was busy fighting this damn thing for over 2 years, it didn't have a chance to turn its defenses and work on the skin cancer lesion. And guess what? The skin cancer lesion has already started to heal since they pulled my little, cognitive vermicelli out of me, or vermicelli. Brian, you can tell me what's the Italian pronunciation for spaghetti, right? But since they pulled this thing out of me, the skin cancer lesion has started to heal. So here's my question. What foreign object, right? And more philosophically now, but what foreign object do you have in you that's maybe keeping your philosophical immune system from fighting back, right? And when we talk about, and that's why I want to get into this evening, but let me thank everyone here in the feed first for joining us, and then we'll talk about it. Jamie, good evening. Lee, good evening. I can't wait for Thursday night. Copy That Speaks. Lee Rowley from Sales Copy Academy will be here in the studios. I'm very excited about that. Wayne, hello to you as well. Thank you, Lee, very much. It's awesome to be back. Jenny, thank you so much. Alice, hello. So I'm glad to be back, Alice. Thank you so very much. Marcellus, thank you, brother. Nice to see you. Yo, Mrs. Claus, looking good. Thank you, Brian. I always know I can count on you. Jamie, he's back. Amazing. Jamie, thank you very much. St. Patrick's Day, the record won't be the only thing in the bag. I know, right? Well, that's why I'm going to finish this thing at 6 p.m. Eastern, so that gives me 6 hours to, wear my kilt. Jamie, all of that was inside your head. No, the working end of it, Jamie, was this little bulbous thing, and then what they buried into my brain was this, Dyson vacuum cleaner hose of it. Looks like a sea lamprey with all the little claws on it. It was buried into the center of my brain. And then this thing transported, you gotta love a stomach that's been tortured by spinal fluid in the peritoneum. The human body doesn't want spinal fluid in the stomach. But in any event, so just this little bit rode up here. This part went into the ventricle of one brain, and this ran down into my stomach. So you get the drift. Hello, Joe is still working, or he would be here too. Mary, I hope Joe's well. I hope you're well. David, thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. And Mary, if you would have Joe take a listen after the fact, because my conversation with you and him was instrumental, I believe, in what we're going to get into this evening. So I would love your critique. And here's the thing. The skin cancer started to heal the moment this thing was out of me. So what excess baggage do you and I carry? What are some of the other things that we have, right, that are just like parasites inside of us that keep our philosophical immune system from battling back and handling everything that comes at us through life? And I've been thinking a lot about this fight or flight. Everyone talks about the fight or flight system within human beings. Marcellus says, see, prayer works. Thank you, Marcellus, for yours. I super appreciate it. And for everyone that sent their prayers and their best wishes. Thank you very much. When you talk about fight or flight and the stress and the inflammation, your immune system's working around the clock. The adrenals are like, more, right? And you all the excess free radicals. But how can we ultimately beat them? So I've been posting on Facebook, I'll be doing it the next couple of days, all the things that I plan to use, all my little potions and whatnots, from my purified water to my hydrogen and magnesium to all of it, right? Maju, BioPro, all of it. So I'll be putting up little things. And a shout out to BP Nutrition. Thank you so very much for the care package in the mail. I super appreciated it. It was very nice of you all. Dave Asprey's Bulletproof Nutrition. Thank you very much. But here's what I wanted to say. Could we beat them philosophically? And Mary, and people say, well, did you think of anything while you were under the Dremel, while you were under the knife? They put that little mask on you. And if you've ever had surgeries where they knock you out, first you should know, I asked the doctor, could I stay awake through this, right? Can you just give me a local? I'd love to talk to you while you're fishing this thing out of me. And they wouldn't go for that. It was an uphill battle just to get them to give me the shunt in a bag. So they put this thing on me, and I don't remember passing out, but I remember coming to. And here's what I want to try to get in. Matt, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Nice to see you, brother. I hope you had a good evening last night. I think you had a marathon going, if I remember. I hope everything worked out the way you wanted. So, and this goes to Mary and Joe. When I did come to, the very first thing I remember was the term rod and staff. Rod and staff, rod and staff. And, you know, it always takes me back. The first time I ever spoke in public, like in 4th grade, I gave recited a prayer. I gave a speech in public at a Methodist church in Northport, New York, and it was the 23rd Psalm, right? So I had to memorize it ever since I was a little kid. Then you jump ahead to my mom's passing, and they did the 23rd Psalm, and I was honored and was able to read it at her ceremony, 23rd Psalm. So it's always with me. It's always in me. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Right? So then I started to thinking, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So how does the 23rd Psalm tie into inflammation within the body? How does the 23rd Psalm tie into, you know, all the fight or flight? Here's my thing. I think, and the reason the rod and staff came to me, the reason I was thinking about the conversation that I had with Mary and Joe, the reason why the rod and the staff is such a big deal is that the rod is to give you a poke, is to smack you down, right? The rod was used to help save sheep from wolves. But the staff with the hook is a little more guidance. It's a little more kumbaya, right? It's, as my friends make fun of me, the difference between, you should be a little less Genghis Khan and a little more kumbaya. But the rod and the staff, it's just like the yin yang. So when you say, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. It's because the good and the bad, it's all divine intervention. So I could look back over the brain tumor. I'm sorry, another quick little story, but I presented to the hospital a full year before they found the tumor. My left side was numb, all these things. And I went to the hospital. They did a whole battery of tests. They did all kinds of things. Good evening, John. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. Mary, you're absolutely right. Definitely a big part of my life. And they did a battery of tests. They checked my heart. They did this. They did that. I came in there like 6 hours. And they go, we can't find anything wrong with you. We gave you a stress test and you outran the treadmill. Okay, great. So they sent me home. Well, right, I had a tumor, right? But nobody knew. They didn't bother doing an MRI to check the brain. They just checked the heart. So I had a tumor. Had I not been sent home, my second daughter wouldn't have been born. Had they found the tumor that night, right? A little more of the rod than the staff. If they had found the tumor that night, if they had found the chop block of fate that night, my youngest daughter wouldn't be here. So I can't look back and go, oh man, you know what? I wish I had found the tumor a year ago. No. Rod and the staff, the good and the bad, the dark and the light, the yin yang. So when I came to and I was thinking about this right out of the box, and Mary's name popped to my mind and Joseph's name popped to my mind because of a conversation we had about, what's the line? The line for me is, what if, just hear me out on this, what if the valley of the shadow of death, the inverse is life. So the valley of the shadow of death is just life itself. You're in the shadow. Death is always lurking right around the corner. But what if the valley of the shadow of death it's the death of our senses? Right? We turn a blind eye and a deaf ear. We walk around apathetic, a little dumb, if you will, about all the divine interventions, all the counters to the chop blocks in life. Fate's going to do what it can to chop block. I believe the Almighty comes with a counterpunch, but our senses are too opaque. We're too thick. We've got too many other things going on. Too much fight or flight, too much worry, too much stress, too many free radicals, whatever, philosophical free radicals running around. But what if with every tragedy, every single tragedy comes the antidote to that tragedy? What if you can't get a chop block of fate without a counterpunch from the divine? And that's what I've been thinking about ever since I came out of it, right? So that when we magnify the moment, we go, okay, this is looking pretty crappy, but buried in this somewhere is the counterpunch. Buried in this somewhere is the lesson of the staff. Yeah, I took a rod right to the back of my neck with a golf ball-sized brain tumor. But what is the staff, right? What is the good that's come out of the bad? And when we magnify the moment, when we pay attention to all those things going around us, in this particular moment in all of time, I'm convinced they both come, they're flip sides of the same coin, just like the yin-yang. We could get Henry to comment on it sometime in terms of his studies and everything else. But, and I have it up here in the studio, but the yin-yang is the balance of the light and the dark. Well, what if every moment the divine, however you define it, the Big Bang or Big Breath, Garden of Eden or off the savannas of Africa, it doesn't matter to me. It should matter to you. However you think of the Almighty, however you think of the Prime Mover, however you think of the divine, what if that's the case? What if it always comes encoded? Let me see what I'm doing here. Let me take this one. Good evening. Welcome to All Natural Being. Who's this?
Welcome home. Brian is in the house.
Brother, I was just talking about you. Can I tell everyone? What I think of you? Can I tell them the term that I every time I think of you, I call Henry. In case you don't know, this is Henry Noel, who'll be coming up at the bottom of the hour here now, just 9 minutes and 30 seconds away. I call him the feather in the fist. Right? And now it's weird that you're calling when we talk about it, right? Because we say that rod and staff, rod, right? The fist, feather, staff. Yep. That's what you personify in what you're doing at Thinking Re-Envisioned. So that's why I'd like a T-shirt that says, I'm with the feather and the fist. And then I'll just have like a figure pointing right towards you. So whenever we're standing together next, right? If you're on a T-shirt shop, I'll take extra large. I'm going to try to lose the tumor 25. Brother, what is going on? The feather and the fist. Thanks for calling in. I was just doing a little rant about the shunt and, blah, 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 blah. What are you up to? What's going on this evening with Thinking Re-Envisioned?
I just wanted to welcome you back.
Thanks,
it is just great to have you back, and I'm glad you got through all of this. And you walk the talk. So, folks, he walks the talk. This is what it's all about. If you need any convincing of what it is to be tenacious and to be fearless, just walk around with a picture of Brian, because that is what it's all about, and that is the one way we actually get through this life really, really well. And to me, it's good. I love it. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, it's a good biker club.
Oh, I know. I can see the colors right now on leather vests. That's all you and I need. Or it's like, oh, you want to join our club? We get black leather vests, and we have the feather and the fist. But Mary's right. That would be a good biker. I mean, you and I'll be riding around on 10 speeds, but it's still a good biker club thing.
Probably sure. Well, I get the tricycle. Come on.
That was so funny. I was going to say tricycle, but I thought, that seemed too far of a stretch. Right, at least if I said
not as far to fall.
Right, that's what I like 3 points of contact. You know that. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. 3 points of contact always. So, what are you working on this evening for Thinking Re-Envisioned?
Well, I'm actually following suit with you. Pardon the cold, but
okay.
I wanted to talk about, why it is we have to wait till we get a bad news from the doctor.
Okay.
About living our life the way it's supposed to be. Why is it, we know we're never going to get out of here alive. I mean, we know that the body is going to die anyway. We know this. But it's not until we get a date from the doctor that says, oh, hey, you got 9 months.
Right.
Hey, I better go out there and live my life the way I want it. Why don't we do that now? What keeps us from doing that now? And that's what we want to talk about tonight.
And Henry, I'll say, Brian says, a dear friend of mine, he says, my trials, but without it, I wouldn't be in the best shape I've been since my 20s. As deadly as it was, it probably ended up saving my life when I kicked it. Absolutely, Brian. And that's when I talk about the rod and the staff, and that, the valley of shadow of death is life. The valley of the shadow of death.
We live with that shadow over our heads all the time.
All the time. Rita, thank you so very much. I'm feeling good, Rita. Thank you so very much. Brian, thank you for sharing that. Mary says, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Absolutely. Top to Mama C. Thou art that. So I'm fired up that that's what you're going to be talking about this evening. And I congratulate you for the meteoric rise of Thinking Re-Envisioned here on IPMNation.com/TRNow. Because I think I really believe, as I said in the opening, there's a storm coming, and people can be buttoned up or they can be jacked up by it. And I think when we talk about Thinking Re-Envisioned, and I know for me now, especially having come out of the surgery, especially having, and then the doctor says to me while we're sitting there, Henry goes, well, when you were here a year ago, the shunt was probably malfunctioning then. Right? And I'm like, right? So all this beg patience, give it a little more time, give it a little more time, give it a little more time. And I've just been tortured for a year. But out of that, had I not had that torture, I don't think I would have had the realization that I had and it was just plain as day when I came out, Henry, the rod and the staff. The rod and the staff. I mean, I could have come up with could have been James Joyce from Ulysses, could have been Hemingway, it could have been Thoreau, it could have been Emerson, it could have been Kafka, it could have been Jung, it could have been any of the collected works of any of the authors I've studied over the last 3 decades. But thy rod and thy staff, right? Which is why I love the concept of you being the feather in the fist.
I love that. I think that's really cool, actually.
Good. Well, it's yours. Feel free. Take it. Just before Lee gets
we'll have to do
right?
something with that.
Yeah, there you go. You're going to have to go. All right, brother, I better get ready to let you go. I haven't gotten any eyeballs yet from Wayne, but you know they're coming. Who are we kidding?
Oh, they're coming.
They're coming.
There's no question they're coming. He's looking right at me right now. I know they're coming.
Oh, you know they're coming. He's got his fingers on the phone. He's like, I'm going to text that Brian right now if he mentions my name again. Reminds me of Sue all the time, texting me going.
He's watching. He goes, I'm watching you. I'm watching you.
Yeah, and Sue will text me and go, for the love of God, don't say this on air. And I won't know that I'm not supposed to say it. So I go, oh, Sue, for the love of God, don't say this. Oops. All right.
Absolutely.
I messed that up.
Well,
all right, brother.
Your show. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad you're back.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. All right, brother. Thanks for calling in. All right, so here's how I'd like to end up. Your trials don't have to come from the doctor. You can grow stronger in your faith by going through trials. But it is a choice you need to make how to handle it. You can choose to wallow in the misery, as Mary says. Absolutely agreed. All right, there's Wayne giving me the eyes. So don't choose the misery one. It will make you bitter and lonely in the end. I absolutely agree, Mary. And I guess what I'm saying is maybe the reframe, maybe one of the ways that we can start now to beat this fight or flight, to beat this stress and inflammation, the overwhelming, that one's all yours. Thank you, Lee, very much. Lee's like, Lee's like, yeah, that's like when there's roadkill and you walk up and poke it with a stick. So I'm thinking that's why Lee's like, no, that one's all yours. Thank you, Lee, very much. Just one night. I don't know what that is, but okay, Wayne, I'll agree to that. Just one night. Let me see, Brian, too many times the outcome is bad. We need to see people who kick it and, although humbled to an extent, are still willing to say, if that's all you got, go haunt someone else. Brian, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, and when we think of the chop block of fate, you just got to be able to square your shoulders and go, you got to find someone else to victimize, because if that's your game plan, if that's what you've brought to derail my day, you picked on the wrong guy. Right? Or you picked on the wrong girl. So all I would ask you is to think this evening, right? I couldn't get the skin cancer to heal because my body was too busy fighting this little sea lamprey. Right? Think about that for a moment. But the moment they pulled it out, my immune system was like, all right, great. We can stop fighting that battle now. All hands on deck. Let's get to the skin cancer. Think about that for a moment. What is it that you have inside? Good evening, Alice. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. What is it that you have inside? What philosophical parasite, what baggage are you carrying, right? That's keeping your philosophical immune system so tied up that you have all these other things going on in your life that your philosophy just can't deal with. And I'd suggest, just like I had the shunt removed, maybe something to think about. Right? What is some of the baggage that you're unduly carrying around? Your rucksack. What do you got it stuffed with? And is it time that you could dump some of that out? Maybe like a spring cleaning. Good evening, David, to you as well. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. So that's my thought for this evening. Maybe you and I get stressed out, all the inflammation, all the fight or flight, because we don't believe that there's a divine intervention that comes with every counter. Right? Or at least with every chop block, when the counter punch comes, if you and I go, well, what is there really to be stressed about? What is there really to be inflamed about? What is there really to be worried about? If you and I believe wholeheartedly in that no matter what comes, all we have to do is be judicious in figuring out what this particular moment in all of time. Henry says, thank you, everyone, for all of your support. Absolutely. I'll echo that for Henry. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you all so very much. What is it, like Tuesday? Oh, I'll be back Wednesday. Oh, and don't forget, the Lee Rowley from Sales Copy Academy will be in the house Thursday night. I'm very excited about that. So, Wayne's giving me the eyes. Got to go. Have an absolutely fantastic evening. Hope to see you tomorrow night. We're out. Yeah, see? You didn't think I could make that work, huh?
IPMNation.com.